Hey, I'm Brent Richard. I'm a sound designer working with Redstart Interactive, and this is how we use Dolby Atmos to create an immersive and compelling soundscape for Fang Tango. So first, what is Fang Tango? It's an arcade-style, rhythm-based shooter where all of the player's moves are tied to the beat of the music. You play as a bat whose mission is to quench your thirst for blood by hunting down sheep, all the while fighting off hangry monsters who want bat for breakfast. One of our questions was, how can we use Dolby Atmos to incentivize the player to listen carefully and to use that spatialization not only to immerse the player, but to give them valuable feedback about the world? One of the ways we did this is by helping the player to localize their next meal. So we have a specific bus here with the Dolby Atmos renderer added to the effects, and almost all of the diegetic sounds of the game are routed through this bus. And you can see here that we've added attenuation curves for things like volume, low-pass filtering, and reverb, all to help the player figure out where the object is located in the world. So as the object gets further away from the player, the volume starts to drop, you start to lose a lot of high-frequency detail, and you hear more reverb from the cave environment. We gave the same attenuation detail to all of the enemies, the slime, wormulon, ghost bag, and snail, so that if the player listens carefully, they can anticipate enemy attacks and dodge or counter accordingly. Another way that Atmos helped us carve out this depth was by utilizing the Z-axis. To give players the sense that an enemy or a hazard is above them or below them. For instance, the wormulon enemy comes from underneath. And this translates to a warning or telegraph that it's about to pop out of the ground, and the player has a chance to move away. And in a similar way, we used Atmos to give the icicle hazard the sense that even though you're in this two-dimensional space, the object is above the player and falling down to their position. Because of the spatialization, we were able to give cues to the player about things that are happening off-screen. Things like which enemies are coming up, or whether there's a sheep in the distance that the bat can feed on. We also had to find ways to keep the mix very clean. The player only needs to hear relevant sounds. If there are too many happening at once, things get cluttered and confusing for the player. To do that, we limited the amount of sounds that could play based on their distance from the player, so that only a handful of the nearest sounds would be audible. So you can see here we're under the Advanced Settings tab, and under Playback Limit, we're going to check Limit Sound Instances, and then set the number of instances of that sound that we want. And then under Playback Priority, we can set it so that the nearest sounds take higher priority over ones that are further away. Another consideration was how often the sounds are playing. To keep things from getting too irritating for the player, we had to make sure we had enough variations to cycle randomly so that the player wouldn't get tired of it. We did this by creating a random container and placing all of the sound variations inside. Wwise then takes that and chooses randomly from a list of sounds. Well, that's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching this. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to build this game. It was so much fun to work on, and I learned a ton. And it was really great to work with Dolby Atmos to give the most immersive experience possible for the player. We hope you enjoyed playing Fang Tango and coming on this journey with us. Thanks.